AI, it's everywhere, right? We're hearing these promises of a perfect future, and at the same time, all these warnings about our doom. But if you strip away all the headlines, all the hype, what's actually driving this whole revolution? Well, today, we're going to cut right through the noise and find out. We're going to dive into the real engine behind AI, how our relationship with technology is about to completely change, what's really going on with AI and our jobs, and you'll see there's this fascinating disconnect between the people building AI and, well, the rest of us. So let's get into it. Okay, first up, if you really want to understand where AI is headed, you have to understand what's fueling it. And let me tell you, right now, we've barely scratched the surface. So you know those huge AI models we hear about all the time, like ChatGPT? They're trained on what is basically a tiny, tiny fraction of the world's data, the public internet. That's just 5% of everything. The real gold mine, the other 95%, is all the private data that's locked up inside companies and all the apps we use. And as Ling Qiao says right here, this private data is the key to unlocking a whole new level of intelligence. If we can activate that, AI goes from just general knowledge to having super specialized, expert-level skills. The big question, though, is how do we actually do that? Well, it turns out there are two main ways to go about it. On one side, you have the big proprietary models from companies like OpenAI. They're incredibly powerful, for sure, but they can be expensive and you have to think about privacy. But on the other side, you've got open source models to give you way more control, better privacy, and honestly, they're catching up incredibly fast. They let companies build their own custom intelligence, their own way. So we have this incredible power brewing, but how are we going to actually interact with it? You need to get ready for a big shift because it's way less about learning complicated software and a lot more about building a totally new kind of relationship. This right here is a huge change in how we think. According to Pika's CEO, Demi Guo, we need to stop looking at AI as just another tool, like a hammer or a spreadsheet. The future is all about interacting with AI agents as if they're a collaborator, an assistant, or maybe even a creative partner you can just talk to. So how do you make an AI agent truly your agent? Well, it's not some one-time setup. It's a constant process. It's almost like training an assistant, or maybe even raising a kid. You have to give it constant feedback, teach it your unique style and your taste, and then over time, it learns to amplify your specific judgment. It becomes a real extension of you. And now for the billion-dollar question, the one that's on pretty much everyone's mind. What is all this going to mean for our jobs? I mean, it's the biggest fear with AI, isn't it? And it's totally a valid one. The headlines are just filled with stories about layoffs and automation, but that's really only half of the story. So while it's true some companies are in this automation arms race to cut staff, we're also seeing something absolutely incredible happen, a Cambrian explosion of creativity. Ideas that used to take a big team and months or quarters to build can now be brought to life by a single person with a great idea in just a few days. It's empowering a whole new generation of founders. And inside existing companies, the very structure is changing. AI is automating all that boring coordination and reporting work that used to create layers and layers of middle management. Now information can flow freely, so organizations are getting flatter, they're getting faster, and a single manager can suddenly lead a much, much larger team effectively. Okay, so AI is changing our tools, it's changing our jobs, but what about the stuff that makes us human? Our creativity, our taste, that need for real, authentic connection. What's really interesting is that a kind of cultural pushback is already happening. Lin Kao talked about how her high school-age daughter and her friends, Gen Z, they're really cynical about AI-generated stuff. They call it inauthentic slop, and they put a much higher value on art that's genuinely made by a human, something that comes from the heart. And this is the key. This is so important. As AI starts to take over all the repetitive, boring tasks, our most valuable skills become our unique human qualities. Our judgment, our taste, our critical eye. These are the things that AI can't just copy, and they're quickly becoming our biggest economic assets. So, if the people who are actually building this technology are so optimistic about this future where we all focus on creativity and judgment, why is everybody else so worried? Let's take a look at this perception gap. Wow, this chart just shows a massive disconnect. I mean, look at medical care. 84% of AI experts see a positive impact, but less than half of the public agrees. And the gap is even bigger for the economy. It's like the people building the tech and the people using it are living in two totally different worlds. So the solution here isn't about better tech, it's about telling a better story. The industry really needs to shift the whole narrative away from this fear of replacement and toward a story of empowerment. By sharing real, tangible examples, like how AI is helping doctors with their notes so they can actually focus on patients, we can show, not just tell, the real positive changes. Ultimately, AI is this incredibly powerful tool for invention that's being put into all of our hands. So the question is changing from what can AI do to what should we do with it? With this new power to create, the future we decide to build, well, that's now up to all of us. If you enjoy this, subscribe to AI in 8 minutes and never miss what matters.